Next up, because this lesson is so short, I'm going to do something in addition to what I'm showing right here. So the purpose of this lesson in my book is we're going to handle the help command right here. So this is a little hint of what we're going to do, but if we come back to the code, if you remember earlier in this course, we created this IOHelper and we had this showHelp command right here, and that one returns a try of unit. And if you recall about what we talked about then, because this is printing to the outside world, this is the same as writing to a file or responding to a REST service or inserting into a database. This type of thing can fail, so we wrap it in a try. And because it's sending output, it returns a try of unit, as you see right there. So that's just a recap of something we did several lessons ago. And now all I have to do over here is I have to make sure I import that IOHelper. So I import IOHelper. And then I just want to import showHelp is all we need for right now. And then I could put that right here. So we could say showHelp. And again, because that's a side effecting function, we normally put empty parentheses there just as a warning to other people. There is a side effect going on right here. And then I save that and all looks good. Notice over here in the book, I call IOHelper.showHelp without importing that. And you can use either one of these syntaxes that you like. Here, I show this code right there, calling showHelp on IOHelper. Here, I imported IOHelper.showHelp up there, and then I just do showHelp right there. So either one of these is fine, whichever you prefer. And now I want to do something I didn't do in the book. So let me make sure I save that. And I want to come over here and actually implement what I intended to implement earlier and I forgot to do. So this code right here is our main method. I want to scoot that down a little bit. And what I meant to do here was create an instance of our input processor. So we can call that input processor, and then we'll say equals input processor. And then I need to pass in that database parameter, if you remember how that was implemented. So I pass in the database parameter there, and that is this one right here. And now I come back there. And next what we have is that this handleUserInput function used to be a standalone function, and now it's inside the input processor class. So now we do input processor, and we call its handleUserInput function. And only other problem I have here is that things are not lined up properly, I believe. So let's save that. And now after I move things around a touch and then save that code, you see that all the error messages go away. So all of these look good up here. And the reason I did that is because we're starting to implement input processor and specifically this handleUserInput function. So we've implemented the Q and H cases so far. So now we should be able to come over here and run our application. And while some of those commands are going to cause a problem, we can quit successfully. And we can also ask for help successfully. And one thing to point out here is that because the help command is working, when I do that, it actually reprompts us. So it's staying in the loop right here so far. So as we implement the rest of these, this will get much better. But now let's just quit that. So I just did this because this chapter and the previous one were really short. So what I wanted to do was start getting our application working. So here we have our main method. Here I initialize a couple of variables that we're going to need. And then I call the main loop function, which is this one that we implemented earlier. And now it calls the handleUserInput function, which is inside the input processor class, which is right here. So as we go on, we're just going to keep implementing more and more of these.